Call to order the meeting of March 2nd for the City Council here at City Hall in Waverly. Carla with the roll call, please.
Drenkow.
Present.
Glaser.
Here.
Kangas.
Here.
Rathe. Here. Schneider.
Here.
Beaufore and Birgen are absent.
Correct. Thank you very much. We'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item D, approval of the agenda as presented.
I'll move approval of the agenda as presented. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Item E, approval of the minutes. Approve the February 10th, 2020 and the February 17th, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
I'll move approval of the February 10, 2020 and the February 17, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. I'm going to take a moment and step back in time. Our guest city council member, Emily Russell, joins us this evening. Sorry, I skipped over you at roll call. We'll go ahead and give you some time here, just a moment to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a student at Wartburg College. I'm finishing up my 4th year there. I'll be attending Drake Law School in the fall, so I'm very excited about that. And I think this is a great opportunity as guest council member to kind of get a feel of city government and government in general and how that works.
Okay. AP graduate.
Yes, I'm from AP.
Great. So fairly local. That's a great thing. So it was my invitation to her as my turn came around. So just who's responsible, I guess. All right. G, community highlight, recognition of the Waverly-Shell High School Wrestling Team 2020 State Championships for the men, boys, girls, men, women, and all the above. I was going to see if you'd have Coach Whitcomb come in and maybe give a short. Evening, sir. Put you on the spot. Sorry about that.
Thanks for you guys having us.
Absolutely. So just a short synopsis on the accomplishments, not as long as what we had last week, but.
Okay. So our girls in January won the state championship, girls state that we hosted here again in town, which was a great event, I think, not only for the girls' successes, but for the community in general. And had six place winners, and then our boys team finished second in the state duels to Southeast Polk, and our 10 individuals that qualified for the individual tournament had a great tournament and got on a roll. I think on Friday we were 24-6 or something like that. It was pretty crazy what they did. Four state champions went 4 for 5 in the state finals and won the state championship by 40 points. So impressive feat. I think the 181 points scored by the guys is one of the top 6 all-time scores. So pretty awesome.
Yes, always a great showing by our wrestling team at the state level and all the way down to the local level. And it is really a hallmark of our community, especially when it comes to wrestling. So I appreciate your efforts, and it extends all the way through your family back to your grandfather that I grew up with as my principal. So
thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to bring in, I don't know, boys or girls first?
Girls are coming.
All right, ladies first. So
Eric? Josh? JC?
sure.
Andrew? Anika Behrens? Maria Cooper? Kennedy Eastman? Kyla Foy? Marley Hagerty? Kaylee Herval? Maddie Jansen? Miranda Jansen? Nicole Cummings Miller Cummings, sorry. Are you Avery? Avery Meyer. Brindley Meyer. Kayla Reyna. Riley Reynolds. She's not here. Oh, she's not here. Gail Robinson. Macy. Oh, here. Hayden Schneider. Olivia Hill. Kaylee Tellenhuber. Bailey Walsh. And Riley Yan.
Take care of the flow. We're trying to keep this organized.
As I recall, there was something like 90 that participated at the state level and over 400 girls at the state level this go around, so
And
outstanding.
boys wrestling team, Eric Whitcomb, head coach, Brett Behrens, volunteer coach, Jorgen Black, volunteer coach, he's absent, Paulino Shermissy. Sorry. I said it right, okay. Where am I now? Josh Meyer, assistant coach, Cody Pierce, volunteer coach, Nick Sand, volunteer coach, and Mike Schwab, assistant coach, Brett Whelan, assistant coach. And then we have for wrestlers, Zach Barnett, Walker Bethke, Ryder Black, Nate Doyle, Carter Fecht, Tyler Gass, McCrae Hagerty, Noah Heisey Barnett, Kale Holmgren, Sam Horniak, Kaden Langrick, Grant McDonald, Lane McDonald, Sean Mwangi, Isaiah Perez, Carter Prophet, Aiden Riggins, Bailey Roybal, Tyler Schreiber, Jake Stack, okay. Gentry Stack, Dylan Stockdale, Mason Thompson, Jake Walker, Luke Walker, Gavin Wiedemeyer, Zane Weiss, Jacob Wilson, Braden Wolf, Abram Rogge, and Evan Yant.
Congratulations.
Good job, everybody.
Also, thanks for those in the community that showed up tonight to extend their appreciation and congratulations as well. It's great. Thank you, Carla, for reading those off for us. I think we leave a hard act to follow for the girls' basketball team. So hopefully we can see them here in the dais soon. So after this week. Let's wait for things to settle down a little bit. All right. Item H, public hearing. This is the date, time, and place for a public hearing on a resolution instituting proceedings to take additional action for the issuance of not to exceed $700,000 general obligation bonds. The mayor and city council will entertain any comments. After all comments, the hearing will be declared closed and the following action will be considered. The public hearing is now open. Any written comments?
I have none, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Piggs. That's right. That's right. While it is open, we'll carry on like we did last time. Any comments that you have, James?
Just that this is the general obligation bonds for the ball field project. They're a different purpose legally, so we have to have a separate hearing for just them. The other hearing will cover all the other road and bridge projects accumulated.
Okay. I don't want to race into this. I know there's people in the audience waiting for other things, but I don't want to close it out real soon. On the 16th, we'll wait definitely for additional comments and stuff. So any comments by the council this time before we close it, we can still discuss. But so we'll close the public hearing at this time. Need a motion? if there's no further discussion.
Approval of Resolution 20-20, approving a resolution instituting proceedings to take additional action for the issuance of not to exceed $700,000 general obligation bonds.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call vote. Carla?
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, that ordinance or resolution 20-20 is approved. Item 2, this is the date, time, and place for a public hearing on a resolution instituting proceedings to take additional action for the issuance of not to exceed $5.5 million of general obligation bonds. The mayor and city council will entertain any comments. After all comments, the hearing will be declared closed and the following action will be considered. The public hearing is open for this resolution. See nobody approaching. Any additional information that we should have here, Mr. Browner?
This is just a balance of the other list of projects, the other 6 that we've discussed that are still on the table to be funded.
So again, this is not a final funding. This is to move forward. It can be reduced. It cannot be
Gives us the
increased.
authority to move forward at that amount and not anything above.
Correct. Furthermore, not seeing anybody coming through. Any written or oral comments that were presented to you?
No, sir, Your Honor.
I appreciate that. I'll close the hearing and seek a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2021, approving a resolution instituting proceedings to take additional action for the issuance not to exceed $5.5 million general obligation bonds.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Carla?
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-21 is approved. Item 2A is Resolution 20-22, a resolution authorizing the issuance of $5,970,000 general obligation bond series 2020 and levying a tax for the payment thereof. Motion?
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-22 as read by the mayor.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion here? Hearing none, roll call vote. Carla?
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-22 is approved. Item 2B, Resolution 20-23, a resolution approving an engagement agreement between the City of Waverly and Allers and Cooney PC in its capacity as bond counsel in connection with the issuance of $5,970,000 of general obligation bonds series 2020. Seek a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-23 as read by the mayor.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Carla?
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-23 is approved. Item number 3. This is the date, time, and place for a public hearing for the 4th Street Southwest, Iowa 116, and 10th Street Southwest Improvements 2020 project plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimate cost. The mayor and council will entertain any comments. After all comments, the hearing will be declared closed and the following action will be considered. The public hearing is open at this time. If you have any comments, please come forward to the podium. State your name and your address for us for the record, please.
Dick Magnol, 315 4th Street Southwest.
Takes a while to come up.
sewer line that runs under St. John's Church.
Talking to the microphone, please.
Okay, can I bring it over?
If it'll make
Okay.
it that long, you sure can.
What? Okay. I hope that you all got a copy of it. Did you get it in your packets? Okay. Now, the sewer line that runs under St. John's Church is not going to be changed according to this program, I guess. Right, Mike? Have you discussed this?
This is not really a matter of discussion, this is really public comments for the hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you discussed it? I've talked to Mr. Bronner about it. Okay. You're going to be changing all the sewer lines in 4th Street south. You can see on your, can you all find 4th Street on your thing? I'll put my finger on it. Everything south of that manhole that goes through St. John's Church, that's a 12-inch main for the city. They built over the church built over that 50 years ago or 60 years ago. And now we're replacing all the sewer lines that come up to that, but not that one. So we've changed everything on 3rd Avenue during the dry run project. So we have this section underneath the church that hasn't been replaced. It has the same age as that in the street. 2 years ago, they had a failure out in front of that sewer line. You all remember the street was closed. So, and also, this is the sewer line that runs from the hospital. All of it runs underneath that church. And you're putting a big addition on your church, or on the hospital. So I think now is the time to try to reroute it. It was started during the dry run project. They put a new sewer line. If you can see it up on 3rd Street, up on 3rd Street in the north corner. See a new line run across it? There, it's in a black line. Have you everybody see that? Okay, that is eventually going to take the sewage underneath, that goes underneath the church, and move it out. But now is the time to do it. The green line, which I drew on there, is only open now during this project, because the street is torn up on 4th Street. After we get done with 4th Street project, you cannot put the sewer line in there anymore. All that leaves is the red line. This is what Mr. Cherry wrote on this map, which is going through their private property to do it. I think the option now is to do it, the green line, because it's torn up. So, anybody from the church want to talk about it? This impacts the church rather.
As Dick was explaining, now would be the opportune time to continue the sewer line up to the intersection here at 3rd Avenue and 4th Street, and then run it over to hook in to the new line that comes under the dry run over here. Instead of coming into our property, going up this corner, and then cutting all the way across, and then that's all easement, or would be easement. Why they couldn't, as long as the street is tore up now, and then come down 3rd Avenue, which is all a pea gravel street, not an asphalt street, would be an opportune time to do that, and then put a manhole cover in over here by the dry run.
Can you state your name and your address and your affiliation? That's okay. I was just going to let you finish, but we need it for the record.
Okay. I'm Terry Knoll. I'm one of the trustees at St. John's Lutheran Church.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Anybody have any? questions or?
Can that be still put into the plans to do that without much cost?
I don't know myself.
We met with Terry and another gentleman January 9th and discussed this very issue. Mike and I did in my office, and we talked about the time. We think it would be feasible to do the 4th Street piece of it. We'd have to look at the cost. We didn't have them bid it as an alternate because I wasn't going to pay the engineering firm how much more an hour to do a separate bid package. But as they progress in this, we will look at that as a possible alternate to get that done. As far as they're going across 3rd, that's ripping out that entire street to put that through, and that's what we talked about. It may be not both sides of your property impacted, maybe just the one side if we went then straight east instead. But again, it's not a free cost to tear up all of 3rd across that block and put that in completely. So that's what we left it as, is we would look at that option on 4th because it is tore up, but it may be going across the north part of that property just as a more efficient way of doing it.
Correct.
But it's not part of the project.
No, it's not to go
part of
across 3rd.
It's not part of the $4 million project, right?
To rip up 3rd and put that in? No, it's not.
No, the green line. It's not part of any project yet.
The rerouting?
Yeah,
You're on.
Correct. We said we would look at it.
we look at it
Yeah,
as a what, as a change order?
It's not only for discussion, Dick. That's the thing. I'm answering you out of courtesy. This is not the way a public hearing works.
Will it be a change order or how you?
If it goes through, it will be a change order, yes.
Okay. I mean, you're going to discuss this in the resolution?
correct. Well,
Okay.
if the council wants to further the discussion, I appreciate you bringing these things to our attention and having spent the time before as well. So thank you.
I appreciate it.
Both of you. Absolutely. So. Any other written comments, Carla, on this subject?
No, sir, Your
Okay,
Honor.
thank you. And thank you for your interjection. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. Seek a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024 approving plan specifications, form of contract and estimate cost of $4,914,664 for the 4th Street Southwest, Iowa 116 and 10th Street Southwest Improvements 2020 project.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion from council? We'll go first. Questions or otherwise? Anything from staff?
Go, sir.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-24 is approved. Resolution 20-25, a resolution awarding contract for the 4th Street Southwest, Iowa 116 and 10th Street Southwest Improvements 2020 project. Seek a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-25, awarding a contract for the 4th Street Southwest, Iowa 116 and 10th Street Southwest Improvements 2020 project to Wix Construction of Decorah, Iowa, for the bid amount of $4,144,185.76.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion here?
I'm just wondering why we are approving this before the budget. Is that kind of normal?
It's a timing issue in a sense, and if you don't do the project again, we may not be held to this. We would have to just exit the contract. I mean, that's the gist of it. We'd have to exit the contract.
And there is that clausability in those? Okay.
I would believe so.
I think it's in order to stay on a timeline to get
It is. This is
within a
not
project.
a simple project. Complete reconstruction is going to take some time to get through by the fall to get this done in a single season. I don't think we want 2 years of this going on.
Yeah.
And so it is just kind of the timing of it in a sense.
I understand the order of things. I just want to know that if we could make sure that there is a clause in there just to
Absolutely.
dot our i's, that would be fine.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, roll call vote. Carla.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-25 is approved. 3B, Resolution 20-26, a resolution approving supplemental amendment number 1 to the agreement for engineering services for the more complex hydraulic modeling of the 4th Street Southwest Iowa 116 box culvert.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-26, approving supplemental amendment number 1 to the agreement for engineering services with Schneider and Associates of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, for the more complex hydraulic modeling of the 4th Street Southwest Iowa 116 box culvert for the not-to-exceed amount of $8,328.
Second?
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Carla?
Rathe,
Yes.
Kangas,
Yes.
Glaser,
Yes.
Drenkow,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-26 is approved. 3C, Resolution 20-27, a resolution approving supplemental amendment number 2 to the agreement for engineering services for construction engineering services associated with the 4th Street Southwest Iowa 116 and 10th Street Southwest improvements.
I'll move to approve Resolution 20-27, approving supplemental amendment number 2 to the agreement for engineering services with Schneider and Associates of Cedar Rapids, Iowa for construction engineering services associated with the 4th Street Southwest Iowa 116 and 10th Street Southwest improvements for the not-to-exceed amount of $379,100.
Second.
Motion and second. Council discussion.
If I could, sir, along
Yes.
the line of Mr. Schneider's question, you still would have to approve on April 6th contract, bonds, insurance, et cetera, so it would not be finalized until that occurs,
It's just
which would be
getting some
after
of the stuff
budget.
checked off. And
Correct. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Anything further? Roll call. Carla?
Schneider,
Yes.
Rathe,
Yes.
Kangas,
Yes.
Glaser,
Yes.
and Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0, 2 absent, Resolution 20-27 is approved. This is the date, time, and place for a public hearing for the 20th Street Northwest Improvements 2020 project plan specification, form of contract, and estimate cost. The mayor and city council will entertain any comments. After all comments, the hearing will be declared closed, and the following action will be considered. Public hearing is open. Any written comments? Carla?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Thank you. Seeing nobody approaching, we'll close the public hearing and seek a motion.
I move approval of Resolution 2028, approving plan specification, form of contract, and estimate cost of $779,524 for the 20th Street Northwest Improvements 2020 project.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion by the council?
Was this in the current budget we're in?
It is.
Okay.
Right.
I missed that, so
That's okay.
makes sense. Okay, very good.
Anything else there?
I thought that got pushed off another year, but I just missed that somewhere.
No, this is second phase.
Yeah,
Phase
okay.
B of the first one to finish this piece of it from Fifth to Night that does not include the railroad tracks. So this was funded in last year's bond.
Yeah. Hearing no further comments, roll call. Carla?
Schneider,
Yes.
Rathe,
Yes.
Kangas,
Yes.
Glaser,
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-28 is approved. 4A, Resolution 20-29, a resolution awarding contract for the 20th Street Northwest Improvements 2020 project.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-29, awarding contract for the 20th Street Northwest Improvements 2020 project to Baker Enterprises of Waverly, Iowa, for the bid amount of $662,524.25.
I'll second it. How's that?
Sounds good.
Motion second. Don't argue, gentlemen. Any comments? Discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Carla?
Schneider,
Yes.
Rathe,
Yes.
Kangas,
Yes.
Glaser,
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-29 is approved. Item 4B, Resolution 20-30, a resolution approving amendment number 4 to the agreement for engineering services for the 20th Street Northwest Improvements 2020 project.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2030, approving Amendment Number 4 to the Agreement for Engineering Services with McClure Engineering Company of Clive, Iowa for the 20th Street Northwest Improvement 2020 project for the not-to-exceed amount of $43,000.
Second.
Motion second. Council discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote. Carla?
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-30 is approved. Move on to item number I, public comments for items not on this evening's agenda. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the presiding officer. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any individual member. Any public comments this evening? Anything written in that order, Carla?
No,
In
sir.
particular? Okay. Seeing nobody approaching, we'll close public comments and move on to the consent calendar. Item J, the following items will be acted upon by voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or public requested a specific item be considered separately. Item 1, set the public hearing date for the fiscal year 2020-21 budget for March 16th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall. Item 2, set the public hearing date to review the downtown alley reconstruction 2020 project plan specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for April 6, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall. Item 3, pay request from McClure Engineering Company for the Waverly Airport Municipal Airport obstruction removal for the amount of $7,050. Pay request from McClure Engineering Company for the Waverly Municipal Airport Runway 29 Extension 2018 for the amount of $1,167.50. Item 5, pay request from Farnsworth Group for the Waverly Public Services North Edition 2020 for the amount of $8,715.39. Pay request from Hall & Hall Engineers Incorporated for the youth ball fields for the amount of $34,259.33. Item 7, pay request from Stanley Consultants Incorporated for the Cedar River Parkway East Improvements 2018 for the amount of $16,406.73. Item 8, pay request from Stanley Consultants Incorporated for the Cedar River Parkway East Improvements 2018 for the amount of $2,000. Item 9, cash disbursements for January 2020. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as read by the mayor.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion by the council?
Are we about done here paying for the parkway? It seems like every other time we have a couple $1,000 more bills show up, so.
It's
It's actually been a while since you've seen any bills on this, and you know these are labeled final,
Okay.
so we're done.
All right.
We're done.
We're done. Thank you.
This is kind of that punch card, last few things, I think, on that, if I'm not mistaken. So having motion and a second there, voice votes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries with 2 absent. Regular business, item K, first reading of ordinance 1071, an ordinance providing for rezoning of property owned by Amcon Construction Company LLC located at 1661 3rd Street Southwest from R3 multiple family residential district to C1 commercial district and setting a public hearing.
I'll move to approve first reading of ordinance 1071 as read by the mayor.
You have to read the whole thing.
You have to read on the ordinance because it's a public hearing.
Nice try.
Valiant effort, though.
I'll move to approve the first reading of ordinance 1071, an ordinance providing for rezoning of property owned by Amcon Construction Company LLC located at 1661 3rd Street Southwest from R3 multiple family residential district to C1 commercial district and setting March 16, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall as the date, time, and place for a public hearing.
Second.
As read by Councilman Glaser. Any discussion here? Hearing none, roll call vote, Carla.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, first reading of ordinance 1071 is approved. Item 2, approval of the CLG, the Certified Local Government Annual Report for the Historic Preservation Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve the CLG Certified Local Government Annual Report for the Historic Preservation Commission.
Second?
Motion and seconded. Council discussion. I'll open this up. I was at the Historic Preservation Commission meeting last week and went through all of this with Isaac and the commission, and very thorough product, articulates where we stand very well. So, pretty straightforward. Isaac, do you have anything?
Want me to go through it? I can go
Sure.
through it. All right, so I'm the zoning administrator and the staff liaison to the Historic Preservation Commission. Basically, since it's a certified local government, just to make sure that the commission stays in good standing with the state, they're required to turn in an annual report. Most of the report is just information, updating contact information for the commission members, making sure that we have at least 2 meetings a year. In 2019, the commission met 10 times. They recommend a budget of $750, which is the budget for this commission. Commission members are required to attend two workshops. We had 2 members attend the Preserve Iowa Summit last year, and actually already we have a member that's attended a workshop, so we're on top of the ball here in 2020. The big thing is last year was the first year that they required an action plan. They did draft an action plan, and then this year we drafted another action plan. Some of it was just updating the action plan from the previous year. Those things included increased footprint in the community, maintain and development relationships with local entities, explored designation of historic districts in the northeast quadrant of Waverly, and collaborate to host and promote Preservation Month. That's the action plan that the commission put together in 2020. So if you kind of go through the footprint of the community, we've actually already partnered with students from Wartburg College to kind of increase our logo, and they're putting together a marketing plan for the commission just to try to get the commission's name out there, have a logo that people can associate with the commission. Maintain and develop relationships with local entities. Like I just said, we've developed a relationship with some students from Wartburg. That's something that the commission wants to continue to work with. Wartburg has explored some historic possible registration type activity. That's something that the commission has expressed interest in possibly creating a relationship with them and exploring some more. Working with the Chamber of Commerce Design Committee to develop historic signage, and then identify and develop connections with local businesses to increase the community's historic knowledge. Again, just kind of increasing the knowledge of historic buildings and historic districts in the community. Explore designation of a historic district. As you know, Spark Consulting, Rebecca McCarley, did a windshield survey of the Northeast District. She identified a potential district that could be listed in the future for the National Register of Historic Places. That's something that the commission wants to build on, potentially raise some money to get that on the list in the future. And then collaborate and host and promote Preservation Month. May is Historic Preservation Month. Last year, the commission held a forum. This year, they're looking at potentially doing the same thing. They've explored some possible celebration / reception or event for the opening of the Farmers Exchange building. And then they're also exploring other possible historic preservation displays that they could do. So the report is due March 6th this year. The state has actually asked that the commission present this report to the city council. They want to make sure that the commission's working with city council, making sure that we're working together on things. So if there's any questions, I can answer those.
Isaac, somewhere I thought I read in the report that the commission was going to put signage along Bramer, but had held off on that because of the reconstruction. Is that something that the commission is planning on or wanting to do going forward?
Yeah, so that was in the action plan for the 2019 year. That's something that they had explored. However, with the reconstruction of Bremer Avenue, they decided that they want to put that on hold and possibly look into that at a future date. Like I kind of went through with the 2020 with the Chamber of Commerce Design Committee, they've kind of shifted gears to possibly work with them to develop some different historic sites in town that they could possibly put some historic signage there instead. So.
I'll just thank the commission and yourself for going through this with literally a fine-tooth comb the other night.
Yep.
It was a kind of a daunting process, but cross the T's, dot the I's appropriately. So thank you very much. Thank you for that. Any other further comments, discussion there? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same side? The CLG is approved. Resolution 20-40, a resolution authorizing the Waverly Fire Department to use 3.5 acres on Cedar River Parkway adjacent to well house number 7.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-40 as read by the mayor.
Second.
Motion and second. I'll invite Chief Happel and podium, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In your package, you received the information that I had put together for you. The Waverly Fire Department is wanting to construct a training center. We've been talking about this for a couple of years, ever since our conventions, and we're getting down to the nitty-gritty now. We would like to go for the Assistance to Firefighters grant and to help fund this facility for us. As the mayor said, this will be out by well house number 7, about 3.5 acres. I have contacted the city entities as far as the well is concerned, and it appears that we are clear in that area to do what we want to do with certain restrictions which aren't a problem for us. This project has evolved quite a bit since we've been in the planning stages, and as you can see by the printout that we gave you as far as where the facilities, et cetera, will land and what we plan to do, I think it'll be pretty impressive, and the fire department will get a great amount of use out of this, as well as other local agencies and first responding departments. I've talked with Chief Purcell, I've talked with Sheriff Pickett, and gotten letters of support from them for this also, which I will submit with the grant. I think the whole first responder community in Waverly and surrounding area will benefit greatly from this project. And to move ahead, we need your authorization to use the land to start with. And the Firefighters Association has the matching 5% that we need to apply for the grant. So that's covered. We don't need any city assistance with that. And we're going to push this forward as far as we can take it. So I would take any questions you have.
Denny, I just have a question. I think it looks great. Where is it relative to the well? Is it to the west or to the east?
It would be north.
Oh, I drove out there.
Right there, right there's the curve in the parkway.
Okay, so it's toward Highway 3 from...
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mid-American doesn't have lines out there, that's why we have the LP tank.
There are overhead lines, which we will take into account.
I meant gas lines, I'm sorry.
I'm sure there are some out there. That isn't a priority for us at this time.
Just wondering why we have an LP tank in that.
We do LP simulation, fire simulation.
Explain that, thank you.
So it's a dead tank.
Yeah, it's a dead tank, and obviously when we want to practice, we get LP, and then there's a A-frame we put up and simulate an attack on on a burning LP tank.
Okay.
Just like the grain bin, we're not getting into the ag business.
That's correct. It won't be full of corn or anything like that. There's actually a medium we will put in there that acts like beans, and so it simulates bean stock, et cetera. So pretty innovative stuff.
I appreciate you putting the annual maintenance and custodial costs on there too. I think that's good for council to know that stuff.
Chief, what would be the plan if the grant falls through?
That's a very good question. We will pursue other avenues, such as the Blackhawk County Gaming Grant, Firehouse Subs Grant, all those things we are applying for along with the Assistance to Firefighter Grant. We're not banking on that only, but if we get to a certain plateau, we will downsize the project to meet that, and we can always build on it later. If we don't get enough funding to start it, then we just try again next year.
Thank you.
I can share from my experience of having been the first class in a firefighter 1 class to be able to use all of this type of infrastructure in an environment. It's necessary for life safety, multi-use department stuff, law enforcement, the community emergency response team cert with KIP, being able to do some training and that kind of stuff. The uses are truly endless, and it's kind of a no-brainer in my thing. I don't have a vote, but just thought I'd throw that out.
What does the department do now for training? Do they have to go out of town to do that?
We do a lot of our own training. We simulate our own things at the station. Every now and then we'll get a house to burn down, that somebody wants to get rid of. We did one for Wartburg out on 20th this spring or this winter. And but those are getting harder and harder to do, and more permits, et cetera, are required. And this we can take on at an instant. We're in our own environment. The walls inside of this structure are movable, so we can simulate different structures, different criteria, and it's not always going into the same environment time after time after time. So it's pretty innovative stuff.
Well, I think this is a great project. How often do you think you're going to be doing training sessions out there? A couple times a month?
We've talked about that. Between us, the fire department itself, I would think, we will be out there at a minimum of once a month. And as we get new recruits on to bring them up to speed, et cetera, it'll be used a lot for that. The firefighter 1 criteria that the firefighters have to go through, they're always looking for controlled areas to get firefighters brought up to speed. What's it like going into a hot building with an air pack on? And so, in fact, we've got an email tonight that there's a firefighter 1 group going through now that we have 3 of our firefighters in, and they need a simulation area, so they're bringing the one out of Des Moines to simulate this, or out of Ames, excuse me. So, yeah. And not only for Waverly, but I think the surrounding area will also use it once we get things up to speed.
I'm sure you're right. Yeah.
Can you just briefly, Dennis, I think it piggybacks off of Rod's question there, is how many hours of training each firefighter is required to have on an annual basis to purport the use?
For structural firefighting, we are required to have 24 hours annually of training. If you're an EMT, you get 24 hours every 2 years. We get it every year. And so to meet that criteria and to keep everybody sharp, a facility like this would really help that.
Mm-hmm. So they do spend quite a bit of time training in other haphazard solutions that this would
Vehicle
resolve.
extrication, all those things are taken into account. But
does the fire department still have that trailer, the smoke trailer?
Yes, we do. Yep. We're in the process of updating that.
Using that out here too, or is that?
No, we won't need to. We will be able to make our own smoke out there.
Okay.
So, yeah. That's strictly a fire prevention program tool now.
So do you have people on the fire department who are certified as trainers, or do you have to bring in
We have
people
6
from
state
outside?
certified trainers. So we're very lucky.
So that brings up the next question for the neighborhood. Are you using natural fibers for smoke generation or synthetic smoke
Natural.
generation? Okay.
Yeah.
So like straw, that kind of stuff.
Straw, pallets, wood products, things like that.
Do you anticipate this will need like a safety fence around it to keep the public from?
The building itself locks.
Okay.
It's totally lockable, and it's very, they aren't household locks.
Yeah.
But you never say never. You know, there could be a point where it becomes necessary. At this point, we don't foresee that.
Okay. Anything further? Hearing nothing. All in favor? Or roll call, actually. Carl, sorry.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Vote of 5-0 with 2 absent.
Thank you very much.
Approved on Resolution 2040. Thank you, gentlemen. Resolution 20-31, a resolution authorizing condemnation of certain real property for the 4th Street Southwest reconstruction project.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-31, authorizing condemnation of certain real property owned by Waverly Bowling Lanes Incorporated for the 4th Street Southwest reconstruction project.
Second.
Motion second. Council discussion here.
I'm just wondering if maybe if Bill can give us a little bit of background on this.
Sure.
I think I understand what's going on here, but
So we weren't sure why we weren't getting any responses to our request for information on buying this piece of ground that's 542 square feet. It's basically the one end of the box culvert that will go under 4th Street, and it'll allow for a sidewalk to go across, and so it extends more into the property. There's a change in the right-of-ways on the north side, the parking lot of the bowling alley, and then the south side where the building is. So it really kind of adds more on the south and then cuts in a little bit on the north too. It's just to facilitate the completion of the box culvert. The state allows us to do right-of-way easements for a lot of things, but when we're putting in a box culvert like this, they would expect us to do a actual acquisition of the part where the box culvert's going to be. We already have a drainage easement that goes all the way across in front of the bowling alley on the north side to allow us to maintain that drainage way and the walls and things, which I think technically would give us that right to work within that area to even put a box culvert in. But we're going to do what the state tells us, so we're going to go ahead and acquire this. What I found out in the process is that there's been a death in the family of the corporation that owns, and so there's some issues with it being in the estate process. And I finally located the attorney who's representing the estate, so I think we'll be getting that resolved without having to do it. But I wanted to give notice so we could move forward if we had to.
So the owner of the property would have voluntarily done this, I would assume. I guess I can't assume that, but
I'm guessing we'll get the agreement now that there's an estate and some things that we can work through. And I've got communication with the attorney. It's still kind of up in the air for me, so I didn't want to wait. I wanted to go ahead and get the authorization because we need to file something. It takes about a month or two to get into the process of getting a schedule. Even though it's a small parcel and a relatively small value, because it's already within a drainage right-of-way, we still have to go through the same process in order to gain title.
I want people to understand that this is not that we're buying their parking lot or we're buying their building. This is just simply a technical thing that we can do so we can extend the box culvert a little bit further into that drainage stream, and like you said, have a sidewalk over the east side of the street rather than just the west side of the street. So
having a sidewalk on that side of the street will allow people to come from the south and use the bowling alley actually without walking in the street.
Yes, and which is incredibly dangerous. I've seen people do that, and not a good idea.
So Bill, can you explain this map of where is the actual property? Is it the long, skinny section?
That little piece looks a lot, it's almost life-size because it's a small piece, but it's the bowling alley. See, the north line is on the north side of the drainage way. So what you're looking at is just a 4th Street has a right-of-way that's smaller, and that's because it was once outside of the city limits. And then the other part was platted within the city limits, so it had a different right-of-way. So that's why the right-of-way changed in that particular area. Really, that box, though, is where the box culvert is. That's why it's positioned there. That's where the box culvert comes through, or the drainage way comes through.
Doesn't look, I'm sorry, Bill. It doesn't look like it would impact anything for the business that I can.
It might even provide for a better access from the parking lot to the side doors or back and forth. And again, allowing pedestrians to come up from the south and actually go into the bowling alley instead of having to go in the street. Otherwise, you're kind of sneaking through the grass around the building to get to their sidewalk that goes across. This will provide for a public right-of-way across that, the box culvert there.
Just never comfortable using eminent domain. I think if there is a reason to use it, this probably may be it.
We have to actually show them, and the lawyer can then take it to the people running the estate and say, well, we have to do this or we have to go to court with this. And my guess is we'll get it done. We'll get it done.
What if we went through this process voluntarily? Had we been able to get a hold of the owners? I mean,
I've got all the other easements that we need in this entire corridor, so everybody was very cooperative. There's nobody really opposing this. As you know, it's for sale, the building, and so my guess is that it was just that whole thing with the transition, the estate, and we're just trying to find somebody who can sign the right documents to get it over with.
Yeah, because there was a death in the family, and so they weren't getting the communication, so certified mail was being sent but not responded to, and so this is the natural course of business. So now that we've identified the problem, we can go back to our intended plan is to work out an amicable means of dealing with this. So
this is really much more just a procedural thing than it is a substantive thing.
Correct. Right. Yeah. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call vote. Carla.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
no.
A vote of 4-1 and 2 absent. Resolution 20-31 is approved. Item number 5, Resolution 20-32, a resolution approving nuisance abatement actions against RRLC, owner of the former Red Fox Inn at 1900 Heritage Way, Waverly, and petition for title.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-32, approving nuisance abatement actions against RRLC, owner of the former Red Fox Inn at 1900 Heritage Way, Waverly, and petition for title for a not-to-exceed expense of $10,000.
Second.
Motion second. Council discussion, staff discussion. I can go ahead and kick this off. The Red Fox Inn last fall, we found out that the first lien holder of the bank, Midwest One, actually conducted a sale on premises of personal property items. They would have had first lien against those personal property items. They attempted to sell as much as they could from the property. During the 2019, they had done a foreclosure action, taking it all the way up to the end. Got a decree, and then used a thing in the code that allows you to reverse yourself and say, no, never mind, I don't want to do it. So they didn't end up with the property. That's what we thought was happening, where it was heading. And then with the personal property sale, it became apparent that that bank was not going to pursue any claims further. The owners, the RRLC, is actually a partnership of two gentlemen who live in South Texas and have been seen here for a while. So they haven't been involved with regards to this property for several years. So basically, the owners have abandoned the property, and now the first lien holder has indicated that they don't intend to take any action. There is a second lien holder, but it's complicated when you have the first lien holder still in place, and you still have the owners that they would have to start over on their own foreclosure and then it becomes very complicated. In the meantime, the property is not being maintained the way we believe it should be maintained to protect it. In the event that it can be sold or it can be redeveloped by somebody else. We've taken some emergency measures as a city to avoid it from being a public hazard, and we will continue to do that to the extent that we can to protect it. But what we need to do now, we've already given notice to the owners. We don't expect any response from the owners. The worst case scenario on this is that nobody does anything. And you end up with a structure that just deteriorates over time. There's no power to it. It'll deteriorate at some point. It's a large structure, multiple buildings. There's a lot of things to manage. It has two ways of access. One is a pretty hard way to monitor. So we did close 20th Street that approaches from the south. We did not completely close it because if somebody got in there and was trying to get out, we wouldn't want them to be locked into not being able to get out. At some point, it may be necessary to completely fence off the whole property. And that's something we would consider if we took control. The 657A is an interesting chapter under Iowa law. It pretty much addresses situations like this that cities are presented with from time to time, with structures that have aged out, loaners are gone, people abandoned, and there's nothing to be done except take title to the property. And it's a process that requires us to file a petition in the district court. We serve all lien holders. And we serve the owners, and we find out if anybody is going to respond to that and actually contest that, because we would prefer somebody to contest it if we could, and they could do something with it. But mostly what you have is a liability when it gets to a certain point, because if it's not financially if you can't redevelop this and it's not economically possible, then you'll end up with a property that doesn't do anything except sit there and deteriorate. The other benefit that we might accomplish in doing this is that if somebody has to buy that property from somebody, either from a lien holder or multiple lien holders, it may not make it economically viable at that point either, because if they have to spend extra money, then every last dollar is really going to be required to redevelop this property. So what we can actually do is go in and petition the court for title, and if no one contests it, then we can get title to the property. That's a good and a bad thing. It's a bad thing if we end up with nobody to redevelop it and we have to take it down ourselves. But it's a good thing because we might find somebody who can redevelop it and we don't have to take it down ourselves. So the worst case scenario is always somebody's got to take it down, and it's going to cost some money to take it down. It's going to cost a pretty good chunk of change to take that down if we have to. It still has viability at this point. And we have to make sure that we jump in now and make sure that it doesn't get to the point where it's beyond viability. And I think that's our main goal at this point, is to make sure that we don't allow it to get to a point where it is just a tear down. We still think there's some value to it. We still think there's interest in this. And what we can do right now is actually to petition the court to start that process. The service gets made, and after 60 days, we can proceed to ask for title at that point if no one contests. We don't have to make the decision at this point to follow through with taking title, because just like the first bank did, they went in and did this all and then said, no, never mind, we want to go back and walk away. So we could actually do that. Now, I don't think we want to do that because we don't want to leave that property here if nobody else is going to do something about it. So having control of that allows us to strip all the liens, everybody, including both the first and second mortgages. It also lets us avoid the tax sale. And there's $100,000 plus sitting out there that somebody's paid for the taxes, because the code allows that to occur, and for the county to actually pay the taxes back that were paid at tax sale and get rid of the tax sale purchaser. So we can get this free and clear, and again, good and bad. But at least it allows us the opportunity to find someone to redevelop it. And we have been having those discussions for some time, and whenever we can. We're trying to find somebody that will and could be interested in this. So we become kind of this is an economic development issue. We would like to see something happen with it. We'd like to see it redeveloped in some way, or we'd like to see it removed so that it can be replaced by something else. So those are the two ways we want to see it. We don't want to see it sit there. And so this allows us to move forward. We would come back to you before we agree to ask for the title to be given to the city, because that's a different step. Right now, we can make the move. We can make the move to make that action happen, and we can also spend some money to protect it, to make sure that it doesn't get damaged any further. Any questions?
So if we do end up with the title, does that mean that if someone wants to develop it, we then agree on a purchase price, or we give it to them?
Yeah, generally with a property like this, we'd be figuring out what they would do,
some sort of deal,
and how they could do it, and how we could help them if we could.
Yeah.
If it's a commercial investment and it's a property in TIF, and we could use TIF for some purposes. If it's a housing, we can't use TIF because it's not we don't have a housing TIF. There's, the city can use some abatement powers. There's ways to do that, or there could be somebody that would ask the city to help participate. And that's something you'd have to evaluate based on how much it would cost us to tear it down. If we had to tear it down, what are they asking for it to invest in it? What kind of tax revenue would come eventually if they were to redevelop it? Those are all lots of things to talk about and discuss.
How many acres is it?
About 9 acres, I believe.
Okay.
Yep.
And so if we also get the title, that means we're liable. Let's say there's squatters who are out there, or somebody's out there snooping around and falls down. Does our liability insurance cover that property then, because it's then city property?
Would. Yeah, all of our property is covered. We would want to move immediately on securing the property in a variety of ways, and we've been talking about those ways of doing that. We really need to have authority to move forward with more than just the minimal things that we've been doing, but securing the property, securing the structures, all those things should be accomplished. And we have a not to exceed 10,000, and we may have to come back at some point if we need to. We hope we won't have to do that because we think we can properly secure it for that purpose, with that amount.
I like the optimism of the purchase price. I think that sounds great, but in reality, this thing, when it went through bankruptcy, nobody wanted it for a minimum. It's even less now when the bank's walking away, et cetera. It's the point where we're going to end up taking it down, or we're going to try and find somebody to do something with it and hopefully give it to them to do it. We'll be very honest about it. It is not an easy undertaking. You're pushing $4, $5, $6 million to redo this in any kind of shape or fashion, at least, and that's not going to be easy to walk in and do that just to do it and try and gain that back. So it will be a challenge, but right now as it sits, it's going nowhere. So we're trying to keep it from becoming a public nuisance and something that will be damaging. So that's kind of our pitch, to see what we can do to get this clear so that maybe somebody could do something with it, and if not, we will. So it's a decent building site if we have to, but certainly not our first premise.
So we're trying to just be proactive on this, because if we don't do anything 10 years down the road, our hand is going to be forced, because we're going to have a building that is dilapidated and is going to need to be torn down. And maybe through this we can force the issue, be proactive while the building may still have some economic viability, and clear the title, because that, if you read through all of that, the title is a shambles. Get the title clear, and then we can see what we can do about getting someone to take a look at using that as an investment. So
keep in mind there was prior interest in redeveloping it, and what kept that from happening is the title issue and the lien battles.
So, well, I guess first I'm thankful we're not in Flint, Michigan. We'd be dealing with this kind of stuff every meeting, I'm sure. If we don't do this, can we still not push the economic, I guess I'm kind of missing what advantage this clearly gives us.
Well, if we can offer a developer coming in to redevelop it or even redevelop the site, the fact that they won't have to pay for it is a big thing.
So clearing the title is
Clearing the title is a big thing, yes.
Title, liens, loans against it. 'Cause right now, you're looking at first and second, third, and tax sale, and it's just, as Rod says, it's a mess. And to try and have somebody walk through that, it's just not worth it.
Sounds like a facility we could have Denny and the fire crew.
Practice.
We'd rather not. That'll certainly lessen the appeal. It's one of the things we'd like to prevent from happening, actually.
Well, I imagine the city's probably about the only entity that can really step in at this point and clear all of this stuff up and erase everything and clear the title.
It is.
Or that wants to.
Or that would want to.
But that's what we're
Cities that are
clearly
doing this
seeing.
all the time. 657A is used widely in some. This will be our first real time using it.
Right.
We just don't have a need to, but there are some that are using it religiously.
Yes.
It's all the time.
Fortunately, we're in a situation where most of the properties in Waverly are very well maintained and people want to keep them that way and invest in them. Unfortunately, this one, just because of a number of different reasons, has not fit in that category. So I think we need to be proactive on this and try to get ahead of everything on it. So.
Our western entrance to the city certainly isn't very attractive, given that we have a beautiful insurance company on the north side and we have this on the south side. We really need to be proactive about this.
Having walked through the building with Bill, there's some areas that need attention, but it's definitely something that somebody with the right desire and focus can definitely make something out of.
It's got the bones there. Yeah.
It definitely does. So we'd rather see it repurposed into something new that can support our community and a developer. So anything else? Carla, roll call vote, please.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Vote of 5-0 with 2 absent. Resolution 20-32 is approved. Resolution 20-33, a resolution approving a residential lease agreement between the City of Waverly and Brandon Marks and Sophia Grove for 517 3rd Street Southeast in Waverly.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2033, approving a residential lease agreement between the City of Waverly and Brandon Marks and Sophia Grove for 517 3rd Street Southeast Waverly for $750 per month with tenant paying all utilities.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Council discussion. This is the property just north of the Green Bridge, the Fitch property.
Let's see, I just scanning the lease here. It's month to month in perpetuity, and obviously it won't be perpetuity, but
Actually, to actually get it done, we did guarantee them a year lease till next February.
a guaranteed year. Okay.
And then it's month to month thereafter. And if we needed it earlier, they indicated they would work with us. Which is why we did try to get the highest market rate. We really knew that it was more important to get somebody paying the utility bills and living there than it was me going down there and looking at it all the time to make sure somebody hasn't
Moved in.
Prop the door open.
Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion there? Roll call, Carla.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Vote of 5-0 with 2 absent. Resolution 20-33 is approved. Resolution 20-34, resolution approving contract bond and certificate of insurance from Schneider Excavating and Grading Company for the Airport Obstruction Removal Project 2020 and authorizing the mayor to sign the contract.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-34 as read by the mayor.
Second.
Motion second. Any council discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Carla.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-34 is approved. Resolution 20-35, approving change order number 1 for upgrades to improve durability, maintenance, and performance of the building for the Waverly Senior Housing Project 2019.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-35, approving change order number 1 for upgrades to improve durability, maintenance, and performance of the building for the Waverly Senior Housing Project 2019 in the amount of a $49,442 increase.
Second.
Motion and second, council discussion.
I'd just like to say that if none of you have driven past that property lately, you should do it. It's a very nice-looking building. It's going to be a great addition to our senior housing options.
Congresswoman Finkenauer was very impressed with it on her world tour of the city as well, so at what we're doing. So,
Are they going to have a grand opening of any sort when it's finally...
Well, I would assume so.
I'm trying to remember. We probably talked about it at our last board meeting, but I don't recall. Bill is here. Bill, are we going to have a grand opening when the senior housing, the Cedar, I'm trying to remember the name of it, Red Cedar Landing is open for business?
I talked to Rebecca in the group. Next time, I don't know.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I think there was some question as to when it was actually going to be
I think it's more like
finished.
May 1st. I was thinking more in terms of, so we should have time to do that.
Yeah. And a very strong desire for people to live there. So we will have no problem getting the facility full.
Right.
Before we roll call, James, can you just briefly kind of give the dissertation on the arrangement with Waverly Senior Housing and its relation to the city financially and those types of things that you gave me the other day?
Kind of like our housing authority, I guess I would call it. Some cities have a formal housing authority designated division of the city. I know Waterloo is one of them. They are our housing authority, so to speak, and so we as a city are a parent company over that. They are somewhat autonomous in how they run the operations, the funding that comes in, federal and other, and so they are able to make decisions to control that campus and do what they need to do. Similar to the hospital, we are just a parent organization. They really are autonomous in the way they run themselves.
So these funds, where do they generate from?
They have been accumulating them. I believe it's mostly federal funding that's come through that. And so they've accumulated this in order to do a project like this and be able to fund this without having to borrow money ahead of time. So this is being paid in cash by them to do this project.
From their
and hopefully we can have them do another one going forward too.
From their capital reserve fund.
Correct.
Is there anything we can do to get more of that funding? Or
That's pretty strict guidelines from the federal government and how they do it and how they don't, what you do to comply to get it. So
we were kind of lucky to get this one, basically?
It's been quite a few years of trying to procure this to get to this point of being able to do this project.
Well, if you think state paperwork is a lot of red tape, just wait until you're working with housing and urban development.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes through just to get your normal rental subsidy payments. So
Our group is a very efficient group, which means even with the lower rents that they charge for these, they're able to keep adding to their reserve so we can do more housing. And they always have waiting lists, so we're not just building this to build something. We're actually building it because it's going to get used. And there's some thoughts about other projects in the future with some of the money they still have on hand. And then even if we did a project which might incur some borrowing in the future, it's just we have to keep accommodating the people that we need to have housing for and good public housing.
And how many feet are these, and do we know what the rents are yet, or approximate? Or?
There's, we're not sure what it's going to be not more than 1,000.
That's a
for 2-bedroom,
sure, right?
And then below that for, it's going to be more than the other ones because this is not a Section 8 property.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
We don't know the footage per unit.
I don't know which.
I don't know off the top of my head. They're decent sized units. There's 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom units. So they're not efficiency apartments. They're units that have enough room for couples to move around in like a normal apartment would be.
I get nervous when I see low rent because sometimes that means you get 10 square feet. So
they're nice. I mean, they're not like a market rate apartment building, but they're really they're nice, and they'll command more rent than the other ones.
Yeah, price tag of 2.2 on that facility is not terrible for what it brings. I just wanted to, the reason I asked is just that everybody in the community is aware of how these are funded and those types of things. Another thing to note here is the local contractor doing the work. Not to name a name, but throwing it out there, it's always nice to see as well. So, roll call vote, Carla.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Vote of 5-0 with 2 absent. Resolution 20-35 is approved. Resolution 20-36, a resolution approving a final plat to re-subdivide property located described as parcel ID 09172000016, located in the Pheasant Ridge subdivision for Adam and Kelly Moeller.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-36, approve a final plat to re-subdivide property described as parcel ID number 09172000016 into 3 additional lots located in the Pheasant Ridge subdivision for Adam and Kelly Moeller.
Second.
Motion second. Council discussion.
This is the same, we saw this before previously on a different agenda. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
No further discussion. Roll call vote. Carla.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Vote of 5-0 with 2 absent. Resolution 20-36 is approved. Item 10, Resolution 20-37, a resolution approving a contract between the City of Waverly and IBEW Local Union 288, the city unit.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2037, approving a contract between the City of Waverly and IBEW Local Union 288 City Unit.
Second.
Motion second. Any council discussion or city staff comments?
Just for public, what was agreed to?
I don't know, Abby. I've had you sitting here all night. I might as well let you speak.
Please come forward if you would, fine.
Just
the brief.
some of the final details of what was agreed.
Cliff Notes version of the contract we approved.
Which one are we on, the police or the city unit?
Yes.
Yep, we agreed on for the next 3 years a 3% overall wage increase. We made some changes to the grievance procedure to include HR as a step in it. Other than that, it was pretty easy negotiation.
It was. And then we have increases in insurance out of pocket, which everybody sees at 3%. They panic. It's not 3% at all. It will cut down substantially with the out-of-pocket increases in insurance that employees will be taking on. So it will be far from that for 3 years.
There's no contingency if we get in a revenue bind or anything like that with?
No.
Okay.
Anything further? Thank you, Abby. Roll call, Carla.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
No.
Rathe.
Yes.
A vote of 4-1 with 2 absent. Resolution 20-37 is approved. Item 11, Resolution 20-38, a resolution approving a contract between the City of Waverly and IBEW Local Union 288 Public Safety Unit.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-38 as read by the mayor.
Second.
Motion second. Council and staff discussion.
Kind of same question, just.
Yes. The police unit, legally, they have a lot more items they can bargain, so the discussion was a little more lengthy for their negotiation, the same as the public works unit it will be a 3% wage increase for the next 3 years. One of the things that we also agreed to is that they are currently paying 10% of the insurance premium, and that will move to 12% for the next 3 years as well. We were able to negotiate taking out a lot of insurance information, which locked us in a little bit, but we have some flexibility in there now to make some changes to be hopefully proactive with controlling cost in the future. And then there were some changes to like the bereavement to match what's in the handbook so we can have consistency with how we're handling it with other staff.
Anything further there? Thank you, Abby. Roll call, Carla.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Schneider.
No.
On a vote of 4-1 with 2 absent, Resolution 20-38 is approved. Item 12, third and final reading of Ordinance 1070, an ordinance providing for rezoning of property owned by JDM Property Holdings LLC located at 208 9th Avenue Northwest and 1005 Adams Parkway from R2, 1 and 2 family residential to PD, Planned Development District.
I'll move approval of the third and final reading of Ordinance 1070 as read by the mayor. Or do I have to read the whole thing? As read by the mayor.
Works for me.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion here? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Carla.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, Ordinance 1070 is approved. Item 13, Resolution 20-39, a resolution approving a preliminary plat for a residential development to be known as Whitetail Bluff Subdivision on property located at 208 9th Avenue Northwest and 1005 Adams Parkway.
I'll move approval of Resolution 20-39, approving a preliminary plat for JDM Property Holdings LLC for construction of a residential development to consist of 32 single-family lots and 3 twin-home lots on property to be known as Whitetail Bluff Subdivision, located at 208 9th Avenue Northwest and 1005 Adams Parkway.
Second.
Motion second. Council and staff discussion.
I have a couple of questions. As I recall, when we first saw the design of this, Lot 36 was going to be given to the school system, and it doesn't look like that was included now. I just had a question about what happened with that.
You mean Lot 36 is the narrow?
The narrow strip.
It was not going to be given to the school district.
Well, there was discussion of perhaps doing that, as I recall.
That would, at this point, that would interfere with potential future development of the street coming south and then having not enough room on that side of the street to have a full lot, if that area was to be developed.
So what is that going to be used for, that strip?
It was intended to be an access point to the second lot that was on the west side when the original thing was platted, when they divided it up. It's not necessary for that now, so it may be, I mean, if there's things that happen in the future, they could do something different with it. At this point, it's just going to be maintained as for future development.
Okay, and is there going to be sidewalk access to the school from this subdivision?
We're not sure about that at this point. I mean, that may be something that is desired. We're working on that as we move towards the final plat. We're having still some discussions about that. It would have to fit into where it would come into the property, and we'd have to find a way to put that in. So it may be that we'd like to wait till they come down to 9th and come over and go to the school property that way, eventually. It just doesn't.
You mean have a sidewalk on the west side of Adams Parkway?
No, well,
to bring them
actually,
down around the corner? Or?
If you extend the lawn, the Fawn Hollow eventually, that would be where a sidewalk would come straight south.
Oh,
It would be with future development.
Through the farm.
So, right. It would be with future development. It's not a guarantee as to when it would happen.
Okay.
And then that furthest west section of that could be added to that lot to make
Okay.
a development.
I just had people contact me with that concern about safety and whether kids are going to be cutting through people's property to get to the school. Also had some people contact me with concern about the small lot size for the, I guess, 24 through 29, but
Isn't that where the twin homes were
no, those
speculated
are
to be?
35 and over, or 32.
There's 165, and then most of them are 75 or more.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a blend of R2 and R1, and there's 4 lots on the south side that are the R2 lots.
And so we've also heard some concerns about docks extending into the river. Is that going to be dealt with in a future plat?
Yes, in the final platting documents.
Anything else? Hearing nothing, roll call, Carla.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, 20-39 is approved. Item 14, first reading of ordinance 1072, an ordinance providing for rezoning of property owned by the city of Waverly for parcel ID 091120000001 and parcel ID 091120000018, located abutting the Cedar River Parkway from A1 Agricultural District to R2 1 and 2 Family Residential District, and setting a public hearing. Need a motion reading the entire motion.
All right, I'm going to go for it. I am going to move approval of the first reading of ordinance 1072, an ordinance providing for rezoning of property owned by the city of Waverly for parcel ID 091120000001 and parcel ID 091120000018, located abutting the Cedar River Parkway from A1 Agricultural District to R2 1 and 2 Family Residential District, and setting March 16, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall, date, time, and place for a public hearing. Second.
Motion second. Council discussion, staff comments.
I think we all have been kept up to date on the requirement for this, so.
I would agree. Roll call, Carla.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Glaser.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
On a vote of 5-0 with 2 absent, ordinance 1072, first reading is approved. Item L, reports from boards and commissions. Item 1, Historic Preservation Commission minutes of November 25th, 2019. And item 2, Library Board minutes of January 14th, 2020, received into the record. Item 4, staff updates. Get to you in just a moment, Carla. Anything, James?
No, sir, other than I know Carla has a couple items. Anyone else?
All right, Carla?
I just wanted to take this opportunity to request that as many people in the community that will participate, that they do this on April 1 is the United States Census Day, and the census has challenged all of the complete count committees to hold an event for that day, and as a committee we have chosen that we would love it if everyone would wear some sort of red, white, and blue that day, and just to celebrate and to raise awareness for the census. You're not going to be able to do the questionnaire just because you wear red, white, and blue or anything. However, if you're a citizen, you certainly could. After March 12th, they being U.S. Census, are going to be sending out invitations for citizens to complete their questionnaire. And this year it can be done online. And people are very concerned about the system crashing if everybody gets on at one time, confidentiality and all that stuff. And I can assure you that everything has been tested and tested and tested again. And confidentiality is at the highest levels as well. If a person is not able to participate online, there still will be a paper option. What will happen is you will get 4 invites to participate online, and then on that 4th invite, a paper copy will be generated out. And just to be sure that everybody knows, it's to clarify a little bit, especially for Wartburg students, if you are living in Waverly at the time of April 1, you are a Waverly citizen, and you should be completing that census as if you were living in Waverly. So tell mom and dad not to count you and that kind of thing. So anyway, if you have any questions, give us a call at City Hall.
Thank you for all of your diligent work on that, Carla, and the rest of the committee. I know Brian's wife has been involved, and amongst other people, so thank you. Council comments. I'll start with you, Rod.
I guess I just have one request. If when we have our public hearing on Ordinance 1071, I wonder if it would be possible for us to have the copy of the Planning and Zoning Commission minutes from their February 6th meeting, where they approved that rezoning. If there's anything in the minutes relating to that.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll get that done.
All right, great. Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, Rod. Mr. Schneider?
I just wanted to mention Cedar Valley Day of Caring. They did this last year, and it was really, I think, almost on a whim. It was put together very quickly, and it was a huge success. And whenever you see something like that really take off, it's going to be big. So I know they're doing it again this year, so it's a good time to be thinking about businesses, what they can do, organizations, what they can do, and I think get in touch with the local United Way or XL Group has some folks that are working on it as well. But I think that was very big for the community, and it'll probably be twice as big this year. So,
excellent. Thank you. Mr. Glaser? Nothing. Tim?
A couple of things. One's comment is just the federal government never ceases to amaze me that they pick April 1st.
We're not joking around.
Right.
It's a serious matter.
And what's funny is it's that way every 10 years.
Yeah. And then I asked James today, because it came up this weekend and I wasn't sure the answer to it, but with everything that's been in the news and just kind of what is in our city plan, or do we have anything in the city plan with regard to a contagious disease or infectious disease type of plan? I'm assuming the hospital probably has some type of plan there, but
good time. We're trying to look into that. I don't know that we have anything that specific. We would look at like emergency management, Kipledagi, hospital,
public health.
Yeah.
I can tell you, you can get your flu shot. That's the first thing you can do. Second thing is if you are ill, don't go to work. It does not help to buy masks. The only thing a mask would do is if you are coughing, sneezing, spewing germs on people, it will protect other people from you. But masks do not keep you from getting this sort of illness. Wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. Try to keep your hands off your face, especially after you, I was thinking that as we were shaking 40 hands tonight.
I think it was more than that.
But the hospital is getting we get regular emails from the CDC, especially alerting the walk-in clinic, primary care clinics, and the ER. But yeah, they're all over it, as they say. But my other comment was going to be there's a special election tomorrow, March 3rd, for school funding. I think all the voting is here at the Civic Center.
They put up the signs, right?
Yeah, okay, starting at 7 a.m. till 8 p.m., so please vote. And also good luck to the girls' basketball team who plays tomorrow night.
Yes. No big run on cemetery plots in fear of this outbreak, right?
Jeez, don't say that.
I'm just
Most
asking.
people who get this do not die.
You're right.
So that's the important thing to remember.
Emily, anything?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I should have thought of something, but it's fine. I'll get it next time.
All right, we'll go with that. I did have a few things here. Seeing Pete back there reminds me, Board of Adjustments meeting on the 9th here. There's some items on there that have affected through the council and different things.
That refers back to what Rob was talking about, the church property.
Correct. So I just want to bring that as another avenue for people to communicate and be engaged. We had the wrestling teams come through. WSR bowling, the team scored 5th place. 2 bowlers finished in the top 10 with 4th and 8th place finishes. Just as an additional note, it was brought to my attention. I had shared it earlier. I don't have the results of state speech yet, but I know that they did fairly well there. The senior center, the 506 Cafe, so after you vote tomorrow or before you vote tomorrow, you can grab lunch there. They have a menu of beef brisket, pulled chicken, cabbage and sausage soup, garden salad and green desserts for their St. Patrick's Day theme for the month. And then on Sunday, 4-H and the extension, they're doing their annual omelet breakfast where from 8 to 9 a.m., I'll be there as a celebrity chef making omelets. So come and enjoy. So
It's fun to do that.
yeah, so I've been practicing them 4 for 4 on omelets. Usually it's just scrambled mess like Mike and I were talking about. So other than that, that's all I have. Seek a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same side. We are adjourned. Thank you.